Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's Accountancy at UJ public lecture with Mr. Imre Nagy, who is, of course, the CEO of IRBA. My name is Andre van Wyk, and I'm absolutely honored to be the host this afternoon. And for the next hour or so, we will be spending time with you guys in the honor of our VIP this afternoon, which is, of course, Imre. On the screen, you will see the other panelists. So we've got Mr. Imre, then we've got our head of the department at UJ, Professor Ben Marks. We've got our Deputy HOD, Professor Ahmed Muhammad Ali Haji, and also Mrs. Marepian Carlo, who's one of our senior lecturers in auditing, who's also joined us this afternoon. And just some other arrangements, you'll see at the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A function. So if you have any questions during today's session, you're welcome to post your questions in the Q&A function. We will probably not be able to attend to all the questions, but the panel will also be looking at some of the themes that are coming through. And after Imre's keynote address this afternoon, we'll be looking at those questions that have come through and also get a bit of a panel discussion going. I also see the reactions button is definitely working. So thanks for those reactions. So if you like or don't like what we're saying this afternoon, please use those reactions buttons to also interact with us and just give us some energy. Now, of course, I would also like to welcome everyone who has joined us in the session this afternoon. We have UJ staff, we've got UJ students, we've got UJ alumni, we've got representatives from other universities that have joined us. We've got representatives from the professional bodies. And then I'm not going to single out anyone. So to all the, let's call it the family in the accounting profession, the people from the firms, people from the professional bodies, and everyone else who's shown interest this afternoon, thank you once again for joining us. We trust that it's really going to be an insightful discussion, and we are certainly looking forward to interacting with you. You will see that the session is, of course, also recorded and will be available afterwards on our Accountancy at UJ social media platforms. You're also welcome to send an email to accountancy@uj.ac.za if you maybe struggle to find the recording, and we will also share it with you. But thank you once again for joining. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Prof. Ben, who will do the formal welcome and introduction of Imre. Thank you, Prof. Ben.
Thank you very much, Andre. And first of all, you said it, but good afternoon to our guest speaker, our honorary guest, Mr. Imre Nagy from IRBA. But I'll introduce Imre just now. But Imre, thank you very much. We truly appreciate your time. Thanks, Marepe and Ahmed, for being part of the panel. It's a topic that's very close to Marepe in my heart, auditing and the audit profession. Ahmed, we know you're a converted auditor as well, but so it's we really thank you, Marepe and Ahmed, for joining us as the panel. And then Prof. Amanda she's the Senior Director, School of Accounting. She'll join us just now on the panelist as well. And she will at the end just say something as well. But for everybody, and Andre said it, to the family, all our friends out there from all the universities, from the profession. I know there's auditors in. Andre said we don't want to single anybody out, but it is we are really truly thankful for you all joining us. And as Andre said, this recording will go out to a wide reach, because we've done it not in person in venue, because we can reach so many more people by doing it online over this time and also through this. Just a quick background. Department of Accountancy, as Andre have said, we have the University of Johannesburg, which is a vibrant university. We've got a brilliant Vice Chancellor and Prof. Maperi, and the DVCs that's run the university extremely well. We've got the College of Business and Economics with our Dean, Prof. Mtsalazi, brilliant college, biggest in the university. And then we've got a School of Accounting where there's the two departments, Department of Commercial Accounting with Ms. Lama Boyce as the HOD in the Department of Accountancy. And we've got our, and I almost wanted to say mother, but our inspiration, Prof. Amanda, who's the Senior Director of School, that's positioning us. But just the Department of Accountancy, we offer we're servicing many, just to set the scene there for Imre, we're servicing many different professional bodies. We have the BCom accounting stream, which is focusing on the CA education. And then we've got a BCom stream, which is a very renowned qualification, which also have CIMA, ACCA, SAIPA, other degrees. And Andre, I mean, for example, we've got honors degrees there. One of our students today, we are very proud, was recognized Mr. High was recognized as the Institute of Internal Auditors Young Achiever of the Year. So we've got many different qualifications in an excellent university. So a bit of marketing, Imre. Sorry, just before, please come and study with us. We'll look after you. Imre will service the accounting and auditing profession very well. Auditing, it's close to our hearts. We must get more people doing auditing. But yeah, we're looking really forward to your speech today. If I can just give you a bit of background, we all know who Imre is, but Imre is he's the CEO of IRBA. He took over a couple of years ago, but he's guiding the profession to be the world leader that we are deserving to be. We could see under his esteemed leadership how the profession is moving, cooperating with SAICA and other professional bodies, how working together with the firms, our audit quality is not negotiable, but also how we're positioning our world, our country and our auditing profession as the top in the world. There's been many reports that came out on this. I think some years ago, we were the #1 regulator in the world, and I can see we're on our way getting there very fast under Imre's leadership and the team behind him. And there's many behind him. There's Plumbe, there's Nadine, there's Imran, there's a lot. But yeah, you're steering that ship, Imre. Just a bit of background about Imre. He's the CEO of the Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors, as we all know, IRBA. He's a chartered accountant. He's a registered auditor. He has extensive experience, having held senior positions in small and large audit firms before he joined IRBA. He was previously director for inspections before he became CEO in 2021. He is also currently a board member of the Audit and Finance Committee chairperson of the International Forum of Independent Audit Regulators. He's a non-executive director of the IFIR Association. He also served as an independent quality technical advisor to the Auditor General, AGSA, as you know, Quality Control Assessment Committee from 2013 to 2021. He's a member of the IFIR Inspections Working Group and investor and other stakeholders workings. Most of his career has been spent serving the public sector, and that's what we stand for at UJ as well, for the public, serving the public interest and making sure serving the national imperative. He has servicing the public sector, servicing the public interest. His broad knowledge and experience underpin his deep-rooted passion for the auditing profession, and I can attest to that, and the regulation. And as I said before, we can see how the profession and his esteemed leadership is positioning us to regaining that #1 position in the world again, and also for his innovation and all of that in his team behind. So, Imre, I can have a very long, I can keep on reading, but we want to listen to you. So I'm going to hand over to you. But thanks again for making the time. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us. Over to you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Andre and Prof. Marks, for the kind introduction. I would really like to thank the university for this opportunity to deliver this public lecture today. And this topic is very close to my heart as well, Prof. Yeah, it's not about me today. It's about the participants. I really hope I can leave something with you today and answer some of your questions. But allow me to introduce some of the areas that I will cover over the next 30 minutes on the topic of the auditing profession in South Africa and its impact on the social compact. So it's about auditing and social compact. And it was an interesting match while I prepared for the lecture, because social compact is something much broader. But it made me learn something new, that I think we underestimate the impact of the auditing profession on the social compact. So I will cover some areas over the next few areas over the next few minutes, 30 minutes or so. We'll first gain an understanding of the social compact. What does it mean? We will then have a look at the role of auditing in upholding the social compact after which I will then cover the evolution of modern auditing in South Africa and where we stand today. And lastly, I will cover some of the initiatives to address key problems that we face as a profession. So first and foremost, let's explore the social compact, what it means, and how the auditing profession acts as an enabler of the social compact. John Rawls, in his A Theory of Justice, as far back as 1971, best defines for me the social compact, often referred to as the social contract, as a fundamental concept that captures the unwritten agreement between individuals and the institutions governing them within a society. Rawls states that the social compact encapsulates the mutual expectations, rights, and responsibilities that both individuals and institutions hold towards each other, forming the basis for social harmony, collaboration, and the overall functioning of the community. Various political and social thinkers continue to explore the social compact, and its relevance is discussed in contemporary debates surrounding governance, citizenship, and societal cohesion. So for me, the social compact loosely refers to a shared understanding of what members of society believe they owe each other. But this is not entitlement. It is something more, deeper, more shared, and with deeper compassion. External auditing plays a crucial role in maintaining transparency, accountability, and trust within the social compact. By assessing the accuracy and reliability of financial information, external auditing has far-reaching effects on the social compact, influencing both individual and institutional behavior. In simple terms, one could say that auditors are enablers of the social compact. One of the primary impacts of auditing on the societal compact is the promotion of transparency. External auditors provide an independent and objective assessment of an organization's financial statements, ensuring that the information presented accurately reflects the financial health of the entity. Transparency is important for investors, stakeholders, and the public to make informed decisions based on reliable information. This unbiased evaluation of auditors fosters an environment of openness, reducing the information asymmetry that could lead to distrust and uncertainty. Accountability is another key aspect of the social compact, significantly influenced by external auditing. Auditors hold organizations accountable for their financial practices by identifying any irregularities or discrepancies. That is critical and a critical component in preventing fraud and mismanagement, as organizations are more likely to adhere to proper financial procedures when they know they will be subject to external scrutiny. Accountability instills confidence in individuals and stakeholders, ensuring that organizations are held responsible for their actions. Then there is the trust between individuals, as I mentioned earlier in the definition, the trust between individuals, institutions, and society at large. That is deeply interconnected with the impact of external auditing. And I will say this a few times. I would say the underestimated or undervalued external auditing. Trust is the bedrock of any functioning society, and external auditing helps maintain and enhance this trust. When stakeholders can rely on independently audited financial statements, they are more likely to invest, engage in transactions, and collaborate with organizations, knowing that there are mechanisms in place to validate the accuracy of financial information. In this way, auditing contributes to the overall stability of the social compact, as trust forms the basis for economic and social interactions. Auditing acts as a deterrent against non-compliance, as organizations are aware that deviation from established rules could result in financial penalties and reputational damage. So auditing plays such a major role in the social compact, which sounds noble, sounds great for the profession, right? Well, unfortunately, things can and do go wrong very quickly, breaking this social compact. Have you ever been the subject of a robbery or theft? Have your family, you or your family experienced severe poverty, inequality, poor service delivery, pollution, load shedding? The list really goes on and on. But how about this one, closer to today's topic? Have anyone or a family member lost their jobs or had their pension savings wiped out and they had to retire with nothing because of a corporate failure? African Bank in 2014 wiped out 7 billion rand in market capitalization and 4 billion rand of public investment corporation investments in a single day. These are public sector workers losing their pensions. Then, as South Africa's largest corporate collapse, Steinhoff wiped out an estimated 300 billion rand in value as its shares plummeted on the JSE following the events in December 2017. The Government Employees Pension Fund, which is Africa's largest pension fund according to their website, with more than 1.2 million members and in excess of 450 pensioners, lost an estimated 20 billion rand alone. These are our nurses, teachers, our policemen, our policewomen. With over 12,000 shops around the world and 130,000 people working for shops linked to the Steinhoff Group, a lot of jobs were on the line. And in South Africa alone, there were 50,000 people working in a Steinhoff company somewhere. So how does this make you feel? Does it make you feel angry, resentful, despondent? The stark reality is that a single event can break the social compact, and these corporate failures are sometimes linked to audit failures, whereby both the appointed stewards of public organizations and their auditors failed in their roles, resulting in these billions of losses to the public. It can be said plainly that the social compact is under severe threat, not only here in South Africa, but worldwide. These are all sad realities of today's world, and in this context, when everyone is suffering, that is when citizens start to really truly understand the suffering of others in their society. And this is the moment, that key moment, when we can renew the social compact between citizens to work effectively as a society to hold each other accountable, and then to hold authorities accountable. But first, we must look out for each other and not just ourselves. To understand the evolution of modern auditing, and I closed really of the definition of social compact and how it interacts, and how the auditing profession interacts with it as an enabler. But I would like to cover some of the history around the development of the auditing profession in South Africa and globally. So to understand this evolution of modern auditing in South Africa, we first need to have a look at what happened in the United States in the early 2000s, which was seen as the trigger event for global audit reform at the time. According to Neckel in 2016, he wrote, prior to 2002 and the twin audit fiascos of Enron and WorldCom, the auditing profession was mostly self-regulated. The United States government responded by passing the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, which established an independent audit regulator called the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, or PCAOB, to set regulations and standards for the auditing profession in the United States. However, these changes quickly spread to other jurisdictions, eventually leading to the creation of the International Forum of Independent Audit Regulators, IFIA, to facilitate audit regulation on a global basis. The Enron failure also led to the closure of Big Five global audit network firm Arthur Andersen. We used to have a Big Five, and maybe those of you that are new and younger will only know the Big Four, but we used to have a Big Five in the world. And it was Arthur Andersen made up the fifth firm. But this failure of an entire global firm exacerbated market concentration concerns among the remaining other four networks, PwC, Deloitte, EY, and KPMG. And around the same time, and very unfortunately, the self-regulated audit profession in South Africa faced similar challenges because of audit quality issues and ethical breaches by auditors that failed to pick up malfeasance in the companies that they audited. Several audit firms were accused of failing to uncover or report on fraud and mismanagement at seemingly healthy, solvent public companies. And to name a few, we had LeisureNet in 2000, we had Sambo in 2001, we had Regal Bank in 2002, and Fidentia 2007. These are failures in the financial sector. There were others. But the auditors faced severe criticism for not uncovering issues during their audits, which led to the heightened regulatory focus, which I will elaborate on a little bit later. The South African government subsequently passed the Auditing Profession Act in 2005, which ended self-regulation in the country and established the Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors, or IRBA, to set standards and regulate the audit profession. Key legislation, including the new Companies Act of 2008, also redefined audit requirements and emphasized the importance of auditor independence. That was done about 10 years ago, and let's roll forward another 10 years, and the world again witnessed a number of high-profile corporate and/or audit failures, such as Lehman Brothers in the United States. We had Wirecard in Germany in 2020 and Carillion in the UK in 2018. And again, South Africa also saw similar failures again at African Bank in 2014, Steinhoff in 2017, VBS Mutual Bank in 2018, and Tongaat Hewlett 2019, with the two Big Four auditors accused of not identifying and reporting fraud and misstatements at these public companies. These failures severely tainted investor trust and confidence in the audit profession, damaging the social compact and further widening the audit expectation gap. The ACCA defines the audit expectation gap in auditing as the difference between what the general public thinks auditors do and what the general public would like auditors to do. There's a deficit. The definition recognizes that it is the difference between what the public thinks and what the public wants that drives public policy on audit. So we don't only have the break in the social compact or the social contract, but we also widened the expectation gap of what auditors are supposed to do. These events also attracted significant negative media coverage between 2017 and 19, and financial journalists fulfill a public interest role on behalf of investors, and they started to call for all role players, including company management, governance structures, auditors, and regulators to do more to protect the public against future major failures. Calls grew for more accountability and consequence management throughout the entire financial reporting and governance ecosystem, with a focus on the auditors, which led the IRBA to revisit its regulatory strategy. It became evident that the Auditing Profession Act of 2005 was no longer able to address the heightened audit risk and to sanction errant auditors effectively. I think at this point, it's important to note that IRBA only regulates about 3,600 registered auditors in South Africa. We have no jurisdiction over directors in companies or other role players in the ecosystem. We only regulate auditors. and audit firms. For example, we also don't regulate the Auditor General. The Auditor General is a supreme audit institution that reports directly to Parliament. But in South Africa, the then Minister of Finance, Pravin Gordhan, was quite proactive, actually. And already around 2012, he invited the World Bank to independently review and report on the accounting and auditing profession in South Africa. The World Bank reported and they highlighted several areas for improvement in its report on standards and codes, also known as ROSC, including enhanced independence of governance structures such as our board and committees, the regulation of accounting bodies, limited liability partnerships, risk-based inspections, and more robust investigations and disciplinary processes. And in a prescient move, and before the corporate failures that would soon unfold, the IRBA passed a 10-year limit on audit firm tenure to further strengthen auditor independence with a 5-year lead time. And in addition to the 5-year rotation of partners, which is in the Companies Act, the IRBA still believes that rotating audit firms further strengthens the independence of both auditors and firms. And while the mandatory firm rotation rule has been set aside recently by the Supreme Court of Appeal, the independence provisions outlined in the IRBA Code of Professional Conduct are still in effect. We will continue to collaborate with National Treasury to reinforce the independence aspects related to firm rotation in our legislation. The IRBA also approached National Treasury in 2017 with proposed amendments to the Auditing Profession Act of 2005. As I mentioned, there were several sort of gaps in our act after 10 years or so. And President Ramaphosa subsequently passed the Auditing Profession Amendment Act in April 2021, giving the IRBA the necessary powers to deliver more effectively on its mandate and removing some of the limitations of the old act. In addition to strengthening the IRBA's independence, investigating and disciplinary processes, the amended act also provided for search and seizure powers, subpoena powers for investigation, referral powers of non-audit complaints for investigation to accredited bodies, and stricter monetary sanctions in relation to both investigation and disciplinary outcomes. These amendments came at a critical time to help the regulator restore confidence in the IRBA and the profession and rebuild public trust by strengthening accountability to society and restoring the social compact. That's South Africa in a nutshell. But on the global front, the International Forum of Independent Audit Regulators was established in 2006, now comprising independent audit regulators from 54 jurisdictions, including South Africa, representing all continents. IFIA's mission is to serve the public interest, including investors, by enhancing audit oversight globally. The European Union introduced several audit reforms in Europe, including the United Kingdom, with the release of the Bryden Report in 2019 titled Report of the Independent Review into the Quality and Effectiveness of Audit. The Monitoring Group is another international body, and the Monitoring Group and the Public Interest Oversight Board were formed to advance the public interest in areas related to international audit standard setting and audit quality. So in July 2020, this group, which comprised the World Bank, IOSCO, IFIA, and many other prominent international bodies, this group issued a paper with recommendations to strengthen the international audit-related standard setting system, including the public interest framework, so that future development and oversight of international audit-related standards can be more independent and responsive to the public interest. To give you one example, it was amidst these reforms that the new ISQ M1 and 2 quality management standards were issued in December 2020, which became effective in December 2022, with the aim of enhancing the way audit firms operate around managing their firms around ensuring high audit quality and ethics. There's a lot more happening globally and locally, which I cannot share in the interest of time, but what I wanted to illustrate from what I just mentioned is that it is evident that much work was done and is still underway to address audit failures and the expectation gap. These changes are, however, not a new phenomenon, and a historical review of the evolution of auditing will show you that auditing and its regulation are evolving all the time in response to contextual factors. So now that we know that change is inevitable and reforms are ongoing, there are novel factors that impact the auditing profession in South Africa today. There's quite a few things, but I'd like to highlight two things. Firstly, there are significant gaps in our financial reporting and governance ecosystem that increase the risk of more corporate failures, unfortunately. And these include a lack of accountability and visible lack of accountability and consequence management of all role players in the ecosystem, fragmented regulation, a lack of collaboration among regulators and law enforcement agencies, and the fact that accountants remain unregulated despite the 2013 World Bank ROSC recommendations to Minister Gordon. Secondly, the attractiveness of the profession is an emerging challenge. At the IFIA plenary session, which I attended in April in the US, all 6 global network firms indicated to IFIA that they are experiencing challenges in attracting and retaining audit talent. Some of the reasons include more modern career choices available to school leavers, easier career choices, high entry requirements to study accounting, high tuition fees and lack of financial support, low remuneration, high work stress and tight deadlines, and of course, negative publicity about the auditing profession following several failures. The contest for talent in South Africa is exacerbated by low maths literacy, significantly reducing the student pool, and a number of push and pull factors such as political and socioeconomic instability that on the one hand pushes immigration of professionals and on the other pull our highly skilled and in-demand professionals to help alleviate global shortages. The pandemic also enabled remote working through the use of technology to communicate and perform audits from virtually anywhere in the world. It is not all doom and gloom, though. I think you might think, so when is this going to stop? It is not all doom and gloom. We can fix the problem, and we can fix any problem if we work together. On a positive note, there is really still a lot that the auditing as a career can offer aspirant accountants and auditors. There's increasingly more complexity in the audit environment due to rapid technological advancements such as artificial intelligence, advanced data science and crypto, blockchain, and the advent of sustainability reporting, ESG, and the assurance thereon. And these appeal to younger generations as these are not only intellectually stimulating to them, but it triggers their natural desire to make a positive social impact on people and the planet. As part of our strategy to engage more with important role players in the profession, I'm always very excited when I'm invited to address students, trainees, lecturers, and young professionals at the firms, because they seem to be drawn towards the added value of auditing and the impact it has on society. Let me give you a simple example. Everybody benefits from high quality financial reporting and quality assurance thereof. It's well known, and it's simply because investors rely on it, which in turn stimulates investment and growth. It also ensures the completeness of declared taxes of companies that feed into the fiscus to sustain the country and even sustain the poorest of the poor through social grants. We all know that our employment is approaching 40%. These grants are often their only income. Then there's banks that rely on auditing and audited financial statements to lend, and employees benefit from working for a financially sustainable company to support their families. So the bottom line is that auditors do play a much bigger role in society than is often realized and acknowledged. And I'm really appealing to all aspirant auditors, current auditors, academia, professional bodies, regulators, and even the media to advocate for the auditing profession and help reignite the value of audit in society. It's critically important that we build up this bastion of a profession to serve the public interest. I'm drawing on Graham Codrington's Mind the Gap, and I specifically appeal to our millennials and our Gen Zers and their innate nature to do good and make an impact. They are the future of our profession, and those of us who came before them must start setting the social compact back on course. It's our duty to do so. These younger generations are the ones who will really drive the change of mindset to accept responsibility and appreciate the value of auditing and its societal impact. Another issue that we must deal with, and I alluded to a little bit earlier, is negative publicity of the profession, sparked by high-profile failures, which is rightfully so. These things are unacceptable. These major failures, as I gave you the numbers earlier. But it is a statistical fact, and please don't get me wrong. It's a statistical fact that audit failures make up a small fraction of all public interest entity audits conducted annually by auditors. And most investors that I engage with still rely heavily on auditors' reports when assessing investment risks and making investment decisions. Again, don't get me wrong, I'm not condoning any audit failure, because what is also true is that even a single failure can have such a significant impact on broad society and the economy. But as much as failures are undesirable, it is also important to look at the entire profession in context and acknowledge the excellent work that most independent auditors and their teams do to the benefit of society. The IRBA earlier this year accredited the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, or the ACCA, as an additional professional accounting body, providing another route to the audit specialization program that we offer at IRBA for aspiring registered auditors. And this widens, and we hope will widen the pipeline of qualified accountants who can pursue audit as a career. And we believe that this will also alleviate the talent shortages that the firms are experiencing currently. So I shared earlier some milestones on how we responded to corporate failures and state capture through the strengthening of the Auditing Profession Act and our mandate. I think it would be just appropriate for me to share some of the specific activities of the IRBA in terms of its current 5-year strategy, which was developed in 2021 to help restore confidence in the profession. The IRBA follows a concept of right touch regulation. Right touch regulation means that we apply proportionate, consistent, and targeted or risk-based regulation to address undesired trends and events in the profession effectively. Of course, without over or under regulating. We want to regulate right at the right spot, the sweet spot, called the right touch point. It therefore remains critically important for the IRBA as a regulator to be seen as independent, respected as an audit regulator both locally and globally. And it is therefore our mandate and our duty to respond effectively to the risk in the system with enhanced standards, regulation, and enforcement. Hence the adoption of several reforms, such as adopting the new quality management standards, updating our code of conduct for auditors, performing robust risk-based inspections, applying appropriate fines in issuing principles and issuing principled rules such as firm rotation to further enhance auditor independence, ethics, and quality. In terms of our strategy, and after performing an extensive situational analysis, we implemented a plan to restore confidence in the role of auditors and the regulator, linked to 3 strategic focus areas of ensuring stability and relevance of the regulator and the profession, driving audit quality, and implementing a comprehensive stakeholder engagement model that focuses on alliances and fosters broader collaboration, of course, without compromising our independence as a regulator. In terms of this plan, we established 3 distinct work streams led by our executives. First, to identify gaps in the financial reporting ecosystem that impact on audit quality. And I'll explain to you now why we're broadening our engagement with broader stakeholders in the ecosystem, even though we only regulate the audit profession. The second work stream that we identified established was to identify impactful audit reforms, in addition to our normal mandated functions of standard setting, etc. And thirdly, we had to look at ourselves. We had to look into the mirror, and we had to enhance our own branding. I'm sure those of you who saw our new logo, etc., would have seen our new branding. We also needed to look at our own internal capacity and processes to be a future fit regulator. But back to workstream 1, which I think is most relevant to today's topic, is that we believe that if we can collectively reduce risk, fraud and misstatements, those type of things, corruption in the ecosystem, the pressure that pushes onto auditors to blow the whistle on these misstatements, for example, are after the fact will be mitigated. And all our stakeholders support this approach, and it highlighted to us that it would be important for us to collaborate with all role players, since we don't have that mandate beyond regulating auditors. But we do and we can engage with other role players in the ecosystem in the public interest in terms of the social compact, because the social compact and public interest is the umbrella under which we all operate to an advanced society. In a recent webinar hosted by the IRBA in April this year, we polled 167 attendees who prioritized the following reforms they believe would create the greatest benefit to the ecosystem. Firstly, was the legislated supervision of professional accounting organizations. And this comes back to what I mentioned earlier, the regulation of accountants. Secondly, legislated supervision of other assurance providers, such as internal auditors, forensic investigators, IT auditors, etc. Thirdly, was a call for reinforced corporate governance and supervision of such a governance code through regulation. Fourthly, there was a call, and this was the strongest call that came out of the panel discussions afterwards, was enhanced information sharing and collaboration between regulators. And then lastly was also the fifth spot was legally backed combined assurance, outlining the roles and responsibilities of each of the lines of defense in the ecosystem. We aim to facilitate the publication on the back of all these stakeholder engagements. We would like to issue a discussion paper in the next year, highlighting the top 5 gaps that we identified with our stakeholders in the ecosystem and putting forward some impactful recommendations that will address these gaps. Another key focus for us is to strengthen reportable irregularities as a mechanism for auditors to blow the whistle on non-compliance in companies. I'm almost closing. Another recent development that attracted quite a bit of attention in the media was the Minister of Finance's recent publication of the new maximum fines for auditors. This was obviously in response to long-standing criticism regarding the inadequacy of our fines. While these fines may appear to be mostly punitive in nature, the intention is to promote ethical behavior and professional due care among registered auditors. globally recognized as a necessary regulatory tool, fines play a pivotal role in fostering accountability, particularly within the auditing profession, where investor trust heavily relies on auditor opinions for investment decisions. These activities are but a glimpse into some of our key initiatives and products. I'm inviting you to visit our website and subscribe to our quarterly newsletter if you would like to know more of what we're doing as the IRBA. But we are really working hard to help rebuild confidence and trust through effective regulation, and we collaborate closely with the firms to perform their professional work ethically, competently, and diligently, and thereby giving effect to the social compact in serving the public interest. From a more philosophical perspective, I'm not an expert in this field, but we are definitely in the realm of driving human behavior. For example, cognitive biases, self-interest, lack of professional skepticism, lack of independence and integrity, and even commercial interests over ethical conduct, etc., etc. These are all examples of negative traits that may be regarded as potential underlying root causes of failures. And I'm quoting Stephen Landsberg, the armchair economist, who said, "Most of economics can be summarized in 4 words. People respond to incentives. The rest is commentary." In short, what this means is that humans will naturally do as little as possible to get the maximum gain, especially when there is no standard or consequence. And to counter that behavior, effective regulation and enforcement is necessary. And this is the case for regulation in general. The social compact includes several role players, not only the auditors, as I explained earlier. And it is therefore important to first drive a change in mindset across society in all spheres that lead to a change in behavior and a growing sense of joint responsibility for each other. In other words, altruism. And through this behavior and collaboration between stakeholders, we can uphold and build the social compact by fostering trust in auditing and its wider effects on the broader social fabric. I'm concluding, and in conclusion, external auditing plays a multifaceted and impactful role in shaping the dynamics of the social compact. Through transparency, accountability, and trust building, and regulatory compliance, auditing contributes to a stable and functional society where individuals and institutions interact with confidence. The assurance provided by external auditors ensures that financial information is accurate, reliable, and aligned with ethical and legal standards. In doing so, auditing reinforces the principles that underpin the social compact, promoting a harmonious relationship between individuals, organizations, and the broader society. There can be no doubt that society needs auditors. All role players must do everything in their power to work together to rebuild confidence in the accounting and auditing profession and restore the profession to its former status as an impactful, noble profession. That is certainly my goal and dream to achieve that spot again, Prof. Mark, that we used to hold in the world as number one or the best audit regulator in the world and profession in the world. To the firms, I'm saying, keep up the good work, improve your quality management systems in terms of the new standards, act independently and with integrity, and conduct high quality audits. It is your duty towards the social compact. You are agents of trust because trust is our currency. I'm also calling on every individual within the ecosystem to action, to support our profession and advocate its value and impact on society. I'm closing with one of my favorite quotes by Desmond Tutu, who said, and I'm quoting, "Compassion is not just a feeling with someone, but it's not just feeling with someone, but seeking a change and to change the situation. he goes on to say, frequently people think compassion and love are merely sentimental. And he says, no, they are very demanding. If you are going to be compassionate, be prepared for action. I would like to thank the University of Johannesburg for this opportunity, and to the participants, again, thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to deliver this lecture. I appreciate your attendance and participation today. Thank you. Back to you, Prof. or Andre.
Thank you very much, Imre. We are truly appreciative of your time and your valuable presentation this afternoon. I think you can see from the reactions coming through. So for the people watching the recording, you won't be able to see the reactions, but there are lots of positive reactions coming through, and truly a valuable presentation this afternoon. Thank you once again on behalf of everyone who's joined us. I know I've also seen some tweets. There are some people from the press and from the media who's also joined us. I don't think I mentioned them at the start of the session, so thank you once again for your time as well in joining. I'd like to welcome back all the panelists onto the screen then, Prof. Ben, Prof. Ahmed, Mrs. Morepe, and we also have Professor Amanda Dempsey, who's of course the Senior Director at the School of Accounting, who's also joined us on the panel. There has been some questions in the Q&A, but please, if you have any more questions, please reach out to us via the Q&A. Imre, I see there's also some questions regarding the ACCA accreditation and how that works. I'm sure if they go to the IRBA website, people should be able to get info on that. Am I correct in saying that? I don't know if there's a specific email address or something that you want to mention there, maybe.
Definitely. So we issued a media release, which is available on our website. And of course, if there's any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our education director, Nadine, who I believe is also on this session. So please do reach out if you have any specific questions around the ACCA.
Thank you. And Prof. Ben, yeah, perhaps you can open the floor for us, and then we can take it from all the panelists.
Thanks, Andre. And I want to say ladies first, but I just want to cover quickly maybe two of the questions that came in here, maybe for Imre, and there was a number of questions in the Q&As, but Imre, I'm maybe just going to combine them because I know Prof. Amanda and Morepe and Ahmed's got questions as well. But so in general, one of the questions says, could you comment on the fact that the AG is not regulated by IRBA, and would such regulation by IRBA not strengthen the quality of the audits by the AG? So that is maybe the one. And then the other one said, and then I think I know the answer to this, but because we strive to international standards, why should auditors in South Africa apply international standards in auditing rather than standards developed in South Africa by IRBA itself? I mean, and then Marisko is very passionate, then said, does National Treasury fund IRBA adequately to empower you to execute your role as a regulator? And I think that's something also for the audit firms maybe there, and they because we need a strong regulator that's well funded, etc. So I think there's questions on whistleblowers and all of that, Andre, that we can get to. But I just wanted to wrap that maybe as just in terms of a overarching one for Imre to respond to. And then after Prof. Amanda and Morepe and Ahmed as they're telling questions, maybe we can just check if there's some others there. Thanks, Imre.
Thank you, Prof. Marks. I'm sure the other professors on the call might be even better placed to answer some of these questions. But let me address the three questions that you just raised. So yes, the Auditor General is a supreme audit institution. In terms of it's a constitutional institution. So they're not an audit firm, and their mandate is to conduct public sector audits. So yes, IRBA, our mandate, our act is giving us powers in terms of the PFMA, and we don't report directly to in terms of the Constitution to Parliament, but we report to the Minister of Finance and National Treasury. However, we do have an annual sort of MOU with the Auditor General where we independently come in and perform independent quality control reviews of their audits, because they follow the same standards and international standards. And yes, they have a committee called the Quality Management Committee, which then meets annually to reflect. I had the privilege of serving on that committee for quite a number of years, I think 8 years, reporting directly to the Auditor General Mokwetu and Terence previous to that. So obviously, as a Supreme Audit institution, they do peer reviews with other Supreme Audit institutions to gain that quality sort of peer review control element. And also IRBA, we do that for them. And we've done that for over 10 years annually for the IRBA, for the AG as the IRBA, but it's not our mandate. It's just something we do in the public interest and in the interest of the auditing profession in general. Secondly, why do we follow international standards? Well, the answer is very easy, because our Act says so. But it's a very good question. But the simple answer I can give is that we live in a much more connected world. We have cross-border operations and companies listed in multiple jurisdictions. And when you prepare financials and you audit financials, it's just easier and more. It's easier to consolidate, and it's easier for investors, both locally and globally, to understand the standard of reporting, the standard of auditing, the standard of ethics applied by the auditors, and that builds trust beyond your borders. So if you do your own standards, like for example the United States, they do their own standards, but if you follow standard setting closely, they are always one or two steps behind international in any event. So the short answer there is that we do it because we believe it's in the best interest of the country to attract investment and to enable cross-jurisdictional interaction for investors. The last question is a bit of a sensitive one, Prof, in terms of National Treasury's funding. We all know that the fiscus is under immense pressure. And it goes without saying that the IRBA is partially funded by National Treasury. We get about 25% of our money from Treasury in the form of a grant, but the rest of our funding comes from the profession in an indirect levy that we charge firms based on the audit opinions that they issued in any particular year. We ask firms to declare to us annually the assurance fees, and then we put a levy on that, a fixed levy on that. But yes, as IRBA, as a regulator, and as with many other regulators, it's common to struggle financially, in terms of attracting the right capacity, retaining that capacity. We seem to be part of government. We seem to be compared to government, but whereas actually as a regulator, we compete for the same pool of professionals at universities, the firms, the Auditor General. So also from a capacity perspective, there are challenges, but we are working, and our board is very supportive of us, of the organization as well. We have a very, very strong board that supports the IRBA, a very hands-on and board with lots of experience that they bring to the table, that really makes it easy and makes me feel accountable through the board to the public. And yes, we do engage with National Treasury. We'll be looking to meet with the new DG that was announced. And we also have a new Accountant General, Shabir Khan, who sits as a minister's representative on our board. And we will be working collectively in the best interest of IRBA, but bigger than that, in the best interest of the profession and the country at large.
Thank you very much, Imre. Thanks for answering the questions. We're going to move to Morepe. Let's move to one of the ladies. Morepe, perhaps a question or a comment that stands out for you in the Q&A function. There are so many questions. Unfortunately, we will not be able to get to all the questions, but perhaps one from your side, please.
Yeah, thanks, Andre, on that. So just maybe two on my side. One first to Imre, in terms of your views regarding the latest ruling that we had from SCA in terms of mandatory firm rotations. Just your view on how you received that, I think, and also how you are then also planning to maybe take it forward. And then I think to the panel and everyone, in terms of from an academic point of view, do we think that based on everything that has happened, is there room to incorporate some psychological, philosophical, and social and moral testing aspects in our curriculum for the purpose of qualifications for our students and whatnot? And I think from my side, in terms of that, it goes without saying, because it's one of those aspects that we need to incorporate in order for us to respond to this widened expectation gap that has resulted. The way in which that can be implemented would take various forms and shapes, but definitely there is that need in order for our students to become aware of how to respond to these challenges and how to deal with them once they qualify. So Imre, just on your side, your take on the ruling relating MFR. Thank you.
Imre, I know we're over the hour, so I'll try to be brief. So on the Supreme Court of Appeal, we took it on appeal, and it was brought against the IRBA by a group of chartered accountants. So yes, we were disappointed with the ruling, because we just announced at the time in April the effective date of firm rotation, and we were disappointed. However, if you analyze the judgment, it's clear that it was based on an ultra virus, which is a principle in terms of our powers to set the rule. In fact, if you read the judgment, it doesn't actually contest the merits of firm rotation. And as the IRBA, as a regulator, we firmly stand, as I mentioned in my presentation, we still firmly believe in the merits and the value of firm rotation to further enhance auditor independence of firms and auditors. Certainly not a silver bullet, but it's one of those mechanisms that collectively with others enhance the compliance and independence. As much as we were disappointed, Morepe, at this point, we're not extremely worried, because we've tracked it very carefully, and statistics have shown that we're close to 95% of listed companies on the JSE already rotated in the 5-year lead up to since the rule was announced in 2017. So with that, there's I always say the horse has bolted on MFR. And I'll continue to say that, because even after the judgment, we received multiple confirmation of companies and firms continuing to rotate. In fact, it looks like the principle of firm rotation embedded itself within the system, which is really great news. Investors also indicate, I won't mention names, but major investor and investment houses in the country indicated to us that they will not change their investment principles and investment strategies, and they will not remove firm rotation from their investment strategies, which is also very encouraging. The way forward on this is that we even have both parliamentary committees, the SCOF and Select Committee of Finance and Standing Committee of Finance, supported and actually almost instructed Treasury to legislate firm rotation by 2024, and we will give our full support as the IRBA to National Treasury to see how best the rule can be legislated so that it can stand against any sort of legal challenge. So yeah, watch this space. I think as we're telling firms to, if you in excess of 10 years, and if something goes wrong, it's the risk is now there, the reputational risk is there that that might be seen as a reason. So most firms have indicated to me that they are on board with firm rotation, but IRBA will see when it comes to when it's actually put out on consultation and where it fits. Maybe it doesn't even fit in our act, but maybe in the Companies Act. We just don't know. But we are busy gathering the legal sort of counsel views on where best it could be sitting. On your second point, I absolutely agree with you. If I had more time, I would have actually wanted to elaborate in my address, in my lecture, on aspects of psychological sort of elements, traits of accountants and auditors. But what I can say very briefly is accounting and auditing is certainly not for everyone. If someone that's it must be people with a high moral compass, people that have altruistic sort of traits, characteristics, people that care for others, people that ultimately realize that if you pursue this career, it's not to buy that flashy new BMW that's in the basement, but it's to serve public interest and to build and give credence to the social compact. So, Morepa, I certainly believe that there's a lot of talk around regulators and around how we bring psychology into auditing, and maybe how to help auditors and accountants do the right thing. I always say integrity is to do the right thing even if no one is looking, and that is what we need here. People in the profession that are upstanding citizens, examples that can be looked up to by younger generations, and pass on the baton of integrity to them later on in their lives.
Thank you, Imre. Prof. Ahmed, a question or comment from you?
Yeah, thanks, Andre. And Imre, thank you very much for an excellent presentation this afternoon. Just a quick one from my side. I think there's some sort of questions around inspections and enforcement activities, that those are somewhat or largely reactive activities. So they're responding, the kind of the issue or the crime or the deficiency has already taken place, and then the inspection takes place or the enforcement takes place. But are there opportunities to be more proactive in the auditing space?
Prof. Ahmed, very, very good question. And it really speaks actually to our current strategy that it would appear from the first round of failures in the early 2000s and the second wave that hit us after 2010, that the reactive approach of regulation is not effective enough. There will always be elements of after the fact when you're regulating. Obviously, enforcement, you can only charge someone if they did something wrong. I mean, those elements of regulation is always reactive, and disciplinary processes, etc. Because that's after something happened and there were complaints or and so on. But we do have a part of our mandate that speaks to proactiveness. Firstly, is we must be proactive in letting the right people into the profession in the first place, and that education and transformation mandate makes provision for that. You will note that we've recently revamped our auditor development program by introducing the additional 18 months of training for candidate auditors. We want people to choose auditing, not to happen to land in it. We want people to understand what the career is about and to choose it. So I think we've been quite proactive in that regard in terms of the delivery system, and we're continuously enhancing that. We're also proactive with this accreditation of ACCA to broaden the pipeline, bring diversity into the picture. That's another element. And a very proactive element is actually standard setting and providing guidelines and guidance to auditors. There's a lot of new standards in response to a lot of the failures and the root causes identified, and it's very important that as the regulator and the professional bodies that we accredit, that we roll out those standards sufficiently so that accountants and auditors are and remain competent. You will know we also updated our CPD policy to be outcomes based, where individual professionals can assess their own careers and identify where the gaps are, and to sort of build something that really works for them, as opposed to just ticking a box that you've attended a 2-hour session with nothing to show for it other than a certificate. So it's my appeal to everyone wanting to enter the career, accountants, even students and scholars, is that this is a noble career, and if you choose this career, it's the proactiveness of doing the right thing starts with you. A regulator can't change the behavior of someone sitting behind their laptop and the decisions that they make, other than for us to provide rules, guides, and an ethics code. But it's the responsibility of everyone doing the actual work to do the right thing. Lastly, but not least, and I think this is even more important, I mentioned the importance of the ecosystem and the other role players in the ecosystem. I mean, what we really need to get to is where there's visible accountability and consequence management for the primary decision makers who actually caused corporate failures. There's very little evidence to indicate that auditors are actually the cause of failures, or the primary cause of corporate failures. It's the management, it's those charged with governance within those companies that have a stewardship responsibility. And if they fail, it's only if the auditor miss it or they collude with management that they also miss it. And then you have this epic failure that sort of bursts the bubble and everybody loses billions. I hope I've answered you there. Our inspections are more proactive. We follow now a risk-based approach, and I'll close with this. We don't select inspections randomly. Yes, there's a small element of that just for chance, but inspections that we do is backed by business intelligence and research and market intelligence. We analyze financial statements. We do financial reporting reviews cold, and those teams that are working in the background provide sort of a matrix report per firm, per auditor to the inspectors, and selections of firm inspections and firm areas and individual audit file inspection areas are based on business intelligence. And we have quite a high failure rate, but it's important to know that it's not statistical and representative of the entire profession, but it is an indicator that to have 6 out of 10 audits have at least one significant issue is something that we really need to work together to reduce. And we benchmark ourselves against IFIA on an annual basis. They do a survey among the 54 countries, and we are higher than the other countries in terms of our failure rates. But not all our failures are audit failures. Majority, if it is an indication of improvement.
Thank you very much, Imre. And then perhaps a final question or comment from Prof. Dempsey before we'll wrap up. Prof. Dempsey, if you can just unmute yourself. Yeah, you just need to unmute yourself, Prof.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. And good afternoon, Imre. Very nice to have you at UJ. Imre, I'm just going to say a few comments. And the first one is that, yes, corporate failures and the auditor's hand in that is a very sad case. And I agree with you that one failure is one too many. And I also agree that where you said that it's only a small percentage, but still it is extremely important. I also agree where you said that there's merit in rotation. And I really do hope that you find a mechanism to bring in audit rotation in again. Also, your comment on CPD, that it must be outcome-based, that it's not a tick box. I think that is very important. And our students don't write exams by doing a tick box. They have to sit and write the exam, and I think the same should be there for professional people. And then the last comment I want to make is what you said, and I'll take this with me, and I hope all the students specifically will take this with you, and that is that trust is your currency. And I think all of our students can take this to heart, because what we want to do at UJ, School of Accounting and Department of Accountancy, we want to develop ethical leaders. This is what we need in our country. And if trust is our currency, then we are on our way to get to that goal. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Dempsey. That's really good to hear coming from you with your rich background in the profession. I think I was still very young and you were already there, so I have a lot of respect for you and Prof. Marks and the other professors. And I'm humbled by the fact that I can be part of this session today.
Thank you very much, Imre, and thanks to everyone who's attended. We're going to ask Prof. Ahmed to wrap it up for us. Unfortunately, it seems like we've lost Prof. Oh, there, Prof. Ben is back. I'm just going to share one more slide with everyone who's been in the session. There you can see our Facebook, Instagram, and also Twitter, or X as it's known now, Twitter handle. So if you guys have any more questions or want to see the latest updates regarding the Department of Accountancy at UJ, please do follow us on our social media platforms in order to engage with us. And also there is the email address, accountancy@uj.ac.za, if there are any further questions related to today or any other questions related to UJ. I'm going to hand over to Prof. Ben. Thank you once again for everyone who's joined us. We trust that you enjoyed the session. And over to Prof. Ben then. Thanks, Prof. Ben.
Thank you, Andre, and thanks from Amanda, Morepe, Ahmed, Andre for hosting. We appreciate it. And Imre, thank you very much. Thanks so much for this telling message. I'm inspired. I want to go and audit out there. I think Prof. Amanda will join me. But we need auditors in this country for the greater good. We need auditors to be difference makers. We need auditors to serve the national prerogative and the social impact. And if people, and I want to applaud to our students that's here, but credit to the auditors that's joined us. And I know there's many more. I recognize the names, and I know there will be more for the job you do under some tough conditions sometimes, because it's a tough environment. And but we're doing it for the right reasons. And picking up audit, it's a long road to go there, because you go through the programs, etc. But nothing that's worthwhile comes easy. So you just inspire us, and I hope we can invite you to come back. There's been so many questions. We try to answer some of those questions there in the background, but we would really love to have you back. It's been phenomenal, and thank you for the role that IRBA plays, your leadership. And you mentioned the IRBA board. I know some of those members were in on the panel as well, and for the role they play. For making this country, our country, and the place to stay. So, Imre, maybe just a last word from you. Why should we become auditors? I think you said it, but it's an exciting career. But maybe just a last word that I want to bounce over back to you. Tell all those many students of us who's listening, why must they? Just, it's exciting, but let's hear it just from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. And my last comments to the students is to not give up. Yes, it's not an easy route to take. There will be obstacles and setbacks, but nothing beats that day when you hold the papers in your hand and you can step into the job market and start to make a real difference in the country and even in the world. That is the power. And be agents of trust, be agents of good. We need that in a very, very dark world. And I believe this profession is not just the light in the back of the tunnel, but it's a lighthouse, and we can make it even bigger and make even a bigger impact on everybody in society through the work that we do. So keep at it, and good luck with your studies. and I wish you all the best of success. Maybe our paths will cross one day. Thank you, Prof. And thank you again to everybody and the university for inviting me.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.